$641 billion. $641 billion will be spent on CX technologies this year throughout the US. That's a big number, right? It's a big number. That's 130 billion more than what they spent in 2019. It is accelerating. Why? Why does CX matter so much? Why is it so important, more important than ever before? Well, first of all, for the customer. We know that every company today, regardless of what they do, they have to be a technology company. Am I right about that? They have to be. If you manufacture dog food, guess what? You got to think and act and invest like a tech company. You do, or you're going to fall behind. Every company has to be that. They have to be digital first. If you don't have a digital first strategy, you're in big, big trouble. CX is where winning brands are differentiating. Think of all the brands out there that are really crushing it right now. Even in the middle of a global pandemic, they continue to grow and do really, really well. Every one of those brands invested heavily and are leading the way around customer experience technology. Every single one of them are differentiating around it. The innovations around CX technology, it's the only way that companies can continue to scale. It's the only way, without adding a bunch of people. Who here has customers today that are struggling with staffing? Everybody raise your hand, everybody, all right? Guys, it's the number one pain point of every company out there right now that we talk to, is staffing. They simply can't find people. They can't fill jobs. Guys, the only way they can continue to scale their business is through technology. What's at stake for companies that do this? Watermark Consulting says that CX leaders outperform CX laggards in terms of stock performance by 3x. Companies that have really well-defined, highly differentiated CX strategies are outperforming other companies by 3 times from a evaluation perspective. Customers are actually prioritizing positive experiences around customer interaction above everything else. 74% of consumers are at least somewhat likely to buy based on experiences alone. Just based on experiences alone. 2/3 of customers, they value customer experience more than brand or price combined. Think about that. That means, who here is willing to pay more if it's easier to buy, if it's a better experience, right? Totally. If it meant I could go do a bunch of work and spend a bunch of time finding some obscure provider of a product or service that can save me 8%, or who does that, right? No. If you make it stupid easy for me to buy, I'll even pay a premium for it. And that's what consumers consistently tell us. 80% of consumers are more likely to purchase when brands offer experiences that are personalized. Think about that. What's the last experience that you had that you felt like, man, these people really know what I'm thinking, right? They've really wrapped their product or service around me. You may have had a little bit of that experience walking into this resort. They're really good at that. When I got off the shuttle Saturday, you got off the shuttle Saturday, I walked into the lobby. I go and I'm going to stand in line ready to check in. This guy walks up to me, walks straight up to me and says, "Mr. Pryfogle, welcome to the Broadmoor." I was in line, right? And he says, "I've got everything taken care of for you. Let me show you around." That was an incredible welcome to this place, right? That personalized experience. How do you duplicate that in a digital world? Not easy, but definitely possible. What else is at stake? Companies face immense pressures to deliver excellent customer experience. Check this out. This is alarming. $35 billion is lost every year by US businesses in customer churn caused by avoidable CX issues. $98 billion a year is left on the table by companies who fail to provide simple experiences to their consumers. $98 billion a year. 83% of executives feel that unimproved customer experience presents them with considerable risk to revenue from their competition, right? 83%. 86% of professionals engaged in or leading customer experience expect to compete based on CX. 86% of your leaders. And the future of work is different now than ever before. It changes everything, guys. Let's look at some trends around that. We've all heard about the Great Resignation. The number of Americans that are quitting their jobs, it's at an unprecedented level. Back this past summer, it hit a pre-pandemic high for 6 straight months, especially in kind of low-wage sectors. These are businesses that are struggling to find people. Many of you know I own a restaurant. It's a brilliant business. It's if you want to make a lot of money, you should open a restaurant. No, not so much. It's a tough business. In the best of times, staffing a restaurant is really, really hard, right? Guys, in this world today, it's damn near impossible. It's hard not to like set the bar for hiring people at, do you mind if I check your pulse? All right, it's really, really hard. We've been blessed. We've got a great team, and we've kind of made it through. People ask me all the time, how's the restaurant? Well, we're still open. So that's it. That's all that really matters right now. We're happy about that. But guys, every one of your business customers are dealing with this issue. I mean, think about contact centers. Staffing a contact center has always been hard. Am I right? It's always been hard. I mean, it's the one job in a company that people are like, okay, I'm going to go do that for 3 months and then get the hell out of there. And I'm going to go do something else. And so for contact centers to have 30, 40, 50% churn every single year, extremely common. That's like a best-in-class kind of number, right? There are many contact centers in today's world that are churning over 100% of their employees every single year. Think of how expensive that is, right? The August 21 job seeker survey actually found that employees today value flexibility over anything else. They value workplace flexibility more than higher pay, more than benefits, more than job security. Isn't that interesting? I'm willing to make less money if you can give me a flexible job. And as we come out of this pandemic, companies that are trying to figure out what do we do next? Am I now requiring everybody to come back to the office? And what's happening with these workers that are now being told, okay, hope you enjoyed the last 2 years. Time to come back into the office, right? How are people responding to that? They're leaving. They're like, well, I don't think so. I got a different plan, right? I'll tell you what, I'll come in the office, let's call it twice a week, right? And I'm gonna work from home the rest of the time. And if that's not workable for you, that's okay. Best of luck. I got another job, right? I'm gonna go somewhere else. Guys, that's what's happening in mass, and companies are having to adjust and figure this thing out, right? Look at what DataTrek says, and I want you to think really carefully about this. We expect continued growth in automating roles, both to take the place of workers that companies cannot find and to offset rising wage pressures. This will be an important trend to watch as it will shape labor markets over the long term, given that automation, once installed, is simply never removed. There's this massive shift right now that companies are making to automation in a bunch of different areas. And once they automate, they never unautomate. That's not a word, but you understand. They never unautomate. They never back up from that and say, well, let's stop doing that. Let's go back to our manual processes. Those were the good old days. No, this is a shift for them that is permanent, and the shift is accelerating. But it presents some competing realities around this, guys, the future of work and customer experience. Today, you must do more. You must do more with less, more than ever before. Because you have to figure out, how do I keep growing my business in spite of all these challenges? I have to do that. I can't hire my way out of problems anymore. You can't. And that used to be how contact center leaders, CX leaders, would deal with staffing issues, right? We're getting a big influx of calls, so I'm just gonna put more bodies on the phone, right? More calls, more bodies, more calls, more bodies. Easy, it's a simple math equation, right? And it's governed by things like, what's my average hold time? And what's my abandonment rate? And all the key metrics that I track every single day, and that says, you gotta put more bodies. And today, when they go to put more bodies on, they're like, there ain't more bodies. They're not here. They're not responding to our ads, or they're not signing up for job fairs. They're not doing any of that anymore. Oh no, what do I do? So maybe the trend is, let's now look at outsourcing this. Let's go to BPOs and have BPOs handle this for us, right? And guess what? The same challenges that the contact center is dealing with, the guy running the BPO is dealing with it at scale. They're dealing with the same exact set of issues. You can't hire your way out of problems. And you must exponentially increase your customer intelligence and insights at the same time. How do you do that? How do you better understand the intent of your buyer, the preferences of your buyer? Where do you get that data from? If it's not simply by polling them afterwards, who does that, by the way? At the end of a call with Bank of America or whoever it is, would you please like to hang on the call for an extra minute to answer a few questions, right? Brilliant. Yes, please. I'd love to do that. That's great. How do I get those insights? Guys, if as a customer, as a CX leader, if you're not getting those insights, you're falling way, way behind. How in the hell do you personalize an experience if I don't know who the people are that are calling me, or why they're calling me, or what their preferences are, right? I have to get better. I have to get better at that. And you got to meet customers where they're at. Customers expect answers really fast. Am I right about that? Who here, when you're starting to engage with somebody to try to find out an answer to a problem or a solution to a problem, you want answers immediately, right? 75% of people expect to get immediate info when they use their smartphone. I don't even have to use my smartphone. I can just say, hey Alexa, solve my life's problems, right? And I can ask any question, I get immediate answers. That's how we're getting trained. That's the expectation of a customer now. 53% of US adults will likely abandon their online cart if they can't find a quick answer to their question. Have you done that recently? Where you were in the middle of a buying process, you actually had stuff ready to go, but you had a few more questions and you couldn't get those answers, and you're like, hell with that, right? I'm going somewhere else. 53% abandon carts. 90% of customers expect an immediate response to their support questions. If I have a support question, I want an immediate response, 10 minutes or less. 90% of customers. Look at where else they're at, on mobile devices, guys. That's the future for all of us. Don't overlook that. 73% of global e-commerce is now mobile e-commerce. Is done from mobile devices. 73%. It's a massive, massive change. But this is interesting, and this kind of opens up a little window of opportunity. 76% of shoppers use their mobile phones to shop because it saves them time. We agree? However, only 12% of shoppers felt that it provides them the most convenient shopping experience. So I'm going to use my phone because it'll save me some time, and this is what I want to do. But the experience around it for most consumers is not there yet. It's not there yet. There's a bunch of work to be done. Do you think that work is being done? Do you think that 12% number will be the same a year from now or 5 years from now? Oh no. As companies invest more and more in this technology, they're figuring out how to make those experiences even more frictionless. Where else are they at? Customers want to help themselves whenever possible. Over 6 in 10 customers, and I call BS on that, I think it's much higher, but 6 in 10 customers prefer to use digital self-service channels to answer their questions. Website, mobile, chat, voice response, whatever it might be, 6 in 10 would rather help themselves than talk to a live body. Who agrees with that statement? Who here would rather use self-service tools? Okay, Maybe it is pretty close. Who here hates using self-service tools? Anybody? Yeah? Yeah? You know what? Think about what do you hate about using a self-service tool? It's slow? Limitations? Self-service tools, it's the same thing for self-service as it is for any automation category. There's definitely examples of automation done right and automation done horribly wrong. We've all experienced that. And when it's automation done horribly wrong, you're like, just get me a live body. I love it in those, especially in the voice-activated ones, right? You ask a question, they give you an incorrect answer. You ask another question, they give you another incorrect answer, and you're like, representative, right? And then they don't know what to do with that. You're like, representative, because saying it louder now makes it more understandable for the bot, right? Right? And then we start throwing in profanities, and before you know it, somehow I get to somebody live, right? But guys, if I can do it right, it radically changes the experience. And then it's like, wow, that was refreshing. I didn't have to talk to anybody, and I got my answer very quickly. I resolved my issue very quickly, right? When it's done right, it's amazing. 59% of consumers find that self-service options improve their customer experiences if it's done right. So guys, to achieve scale as a business, you have to invest in new technology. You have to. It's an imperative now for CX leaders. They have to invest in technology. 70% of customer interactions this year will involve emerging technologies, companies like you see in the room here. 70% of interactions. So automation is so key because I have to be able to act faster. Speed is king right now. And if you can automate to make these experiences fast and seamless and frictionless, you're gonna win. Where attracting and retaining talent is increasingly difficult, automation can improve, get this, the employee experience, enabling staff to feel excited and engaged about their workplace and subsequently improve customer relations. People worry about automation like that's gonna put tons and tons of people out of work, right? And some people will definitely have to reinvent themselves, no question. But how does automation improve employee experience? The experience of the agent that is sitting there taking 80 calls a day, right? How does it improve their experience? Anybody have an idea on that? What do you think? How can automation help that? What's that? Why? Yeah. Did you guys hear that? The mundane tasks that they have to do, right? The swivel chair stuff. Think about how many systems a typical agent has to touch. Independent systems that they have to touch during a single interaction with a customer. 5, 7, 10. When they say, Juan, thank you. If you don't mind waiting on hold for just a couple of minutes while I research this, right? Sounds really nice and polite. You're all, sure, go ahead. Put you on hold. And then what are they doing? They're checking this system, and they're checking this system, and they're checking this system. And is that a fun job? No. What if I could automate all of that? What if I had one and I had a single pane of glass that told me everything about his history? Everything he's always ever bought, every interaction he's ever had with us. And it's all automated. And I have all these manual tasks that I would normally do that I now have a digital assistant doing for me. If you can implement that kind of automation, your employee experience goes through the roof. But I also have to act smarter. AI is such a big deal right now, and the AI engines are getting dramatically more intelligent than they ever were before, where they can understand intent and tone and all this other stuff, in context. They can understand that better than ever before. You have to leverage AI to be able to again, do more with less. Digital self-service is all about acting easier, making it more frictionless. And the future of work has to be worker first. It has to be. Because if you're not enabling and empowering your top employees, you are losing your top employees. Am I right? So that's the future of work, guys. I want to give you a real life example. This company, they have a mobile app today. And it's a pretty cool mobile app. This is a company that does, they provide propane to consumers and businesses all over the country. And you can go to this mobile app and you can log into your account and you can pay your bill. You can check the level of your propane tank. You can schedule an appointment. Those are cool things, right? That's really useful. They've made a big investment in their mobile app. There's really good self-service options, but the agents that ultimately may get a phone call from that customer have no visibility into the information that's garnered through that mobile app. They have a website as well. I can go to the website, I can do those same exact things, but if I get stuck on something, there's no ability for me to hit a button and chat with anybody. I have no chat capability, I have no knowledge base capability. If I get stuck, my answer is to pick up the phone and call the company, okay? Here's their infrastructure. They use Fuse. They're using Fuse for UCaaS. They're using an Avaya Prim-based contact center. It's been around forever, and it works for them, sort of. And that's what they're using for their contact center platform today. There's zero call containment. What do I mean by that? 100% of the calls that are coming into my contact center ring through to an agent, ultimately, unless they hang up before it gets through to them. And that happens a lot, by the way, right? That's the abandonment rate for these guys is alarmingly high. By the way, I should also mention, there's no ability for them to automatically identify the identity of a caller. So every single call they get, who are you, right? What's your, let's verify your account. And they have to go through all those manual steps. We love to do that, right? We love to do that, especially with a name like Pryfogle. That's always fun. They have 150 agents up in Canada. They have 150 agents in the United States. And there's a few things here. I can make payments. They talk about this on their website. You can make your payment right through the mobile app, which is really convenient. You can go to the website and process your payment there, or you can call into our contact center and one of our live agents will help you make the payment. And then I call in and I talk to Mike and I say, Mike here, and Mike needs my payment and he's gonna ask me for what? My credit card, because that's how we make payments. Are you with me? Are you tracking with me? All right, there's more coffee in the back if you need it. I'm gonna give him my credit card. Here's all 16 digits, my expiration, the code on the back, all that kind of stuff. What we just did, is that PCI compliant? Oh, no, because you don't know this about Mike. He has a little side hustle, and he's gonna take my credit card and he's gonna sell it all over the dark web and make all sorts of money, because his $15 an hour job just isn't cutting it for him, right? Guys, that's not PCI compliant, right? So that's a big issue for them, and they're struggling with that. But that's like darn near every company on the planet. How often do you give your credit card to somebody over the phone, right? That's what they're dealing with today. Their agents have no visibility at all into the overall journey of the customer, the caller, right? All the different touch points and what they did and when, and none of the history there. No personalization whatsoever. The most common call types they're getting are billing questions, scheduling, and where's my order. That all sound really familiar? Does that sound like companies that you do business with today? That's a really common thing, right? Here's an interesting thing that happened a week ago. We had this call with this client, and we talked about a bunch of different technologies. We talked about a bunch of different ways we could address their issues. And a few days after that, the partner came back to the customer came back to the partner and said, hey, that was really helpful, but we've decided that the first thing we need to do is just replace our Prim-based Avaya contact center. So what we'd like to do is figure out how to take this and move it to the cloud. Can you help us figure that out? The other stuff they want to deal with later, we'll revisit that later. But let's just focus on the contact center now. So I mean, think about this. The contact center actually, and you'll see in the next slide, becomes the least consequential part of the overall design. The least consequential. So let's look at an alternative. By the way, this is really important. The customer says to us that these are the three things they're trying to accomplish. Really important for them. These are the business outcomes they're driving for. I want to lower our cost to serve our clients. Lower the cost to serve our clients. I want to create a more frictionless customer experience, make it easier for clients to deal with us. And I had this problem around collecting payments. Oftentimes we have to proactively call out to our clients to collect payments. I want to make that process faster, easier, and cheaper. Those are the 3 business outcomes I'm driving for. Guys, if I go back here for a second, if I simply replace this with a cloud solution, how have I addressed those 3 business outcomes? Have I? What do you think? Not really. Not really. But yet, that's what we're about to do, right? So what's an alternative? We love doing these meetings with kind of the art of the possible and helping a customer take a macro view of what their business looks like, the outcomes they're trying to drive for, what they're trying to accomplish, and what different technologies can be leveraged to accomplish exactly the business outcomes they're driving for. So there's a few things that we've done here. We still have mobile, we have voice, we have web, right? But all of that comes in to what we call an omni-channel CX orchestrator. You'll hear others talk about that today. That orchestrates this entire experience, whether the customer's coming in via mobile or via voice or on the web via a chatbot. With these 3 over here on the left, we believe we can achieve a minimum of 30% call containment. And not just call deflection. We've all been deflected when we've called in somewhere, right? We don't like that. Just call Comcast, right? You'll get deflected all day long. Sorry, are they in the room? They're not in the room. It's so nice not having Comcast in the room when I present. They're disruptive in a very different way. That's right. Oh, man. So guys, we're not talking about deflection. We're talking about completely resolving issues, right? Where through a natural language interaction, I can solve my problem and hang up feeling totally satisfied and moving on with my day, right? 30% of those calls that are coming into this place, we think we can handle that way. 30%, okay? That's a big, big number. By the way, I can build in secure payments and scheduling. I can validate identities before they ever get to a live agent. I'm still going to have a cloud contact center solution in UCaaS. I'm going to have my workforce in Canada and in the US, but I'm also going to augment this with a pool of flexible workers, fractionalized workers that can take calls in an overflow situation or in a surge situation. Propane company, you know, you're on the East Coast, you get a big nor'easter coming through. Do you think they get a big increase in calls? Oh shit, right? I'm out of propane and it's going to be -20, right? So they get a big, big influx. How do I handle that kind of a surge? And throughout all of this, regardless of the touch, I have full customer history on a single pane of glass. On a single pane of glass. Even being able to layer in a gamification platform to drive a better employee experience, which directly translates into a better customer experience. That's the kind of solution we're talking about.